JLR investigates. New update in the Kimberly Sullivan case. Kimberly Sullivan, the woman arrested in connection with holding her stepson captive inside their Waterbury home for over 20 years. The victim set the home on fire to be rescued by authorities because he was trapped inside the home. He wanted to escape from this monster house of horrors. Now, check this out, folks. The biological mother of the victim put out a statement. We're talking about the bio mom of the victim. Kimberly Sullivan here was the stepmom. But 32 years ago, the individual had a real mother. And she said something. She put out a statement in reference to this case. And I'm going to share that with all of you, and then we'll discuss. Check it out.
Public nationwide wants to know, well, how could this occur? How did this happen and no one know it?
Tonight, we have new details about the history of the Waterbury man who told police he was held captive by his stepmother for more than 20 years.
A woman who says she is the victim's biological mother is now speaking out. Your reporter Owen Kingsley joins us live in Waterbury with those details. Owen.
Well, guys, it was inside this house where Waterbury police tell us a 32-year-old man intentionally started a fire after he says years he suffered of abuse and imprisonment by his stepmother. Now, since these disturbing details have come to light, a Meriden woman who says that she is the biological mother of the victim is offering a little bit of context, shedding some light on how he grew up in this situation. The New York Post identified the alleged victim's biological mother as a 52-year-old woman from Meriden. We spoke to her. She doesn't want her name shared, but says she gave up custody when the man was 6 months old. In a statement, she said, 32 years ago, due to personal reasons and for the full benefit of my son, I made the gut-wrenching decision to give full custody to my ex-husband. This was the most painful, emotional decision any mother can make, but I thought he would have a better life. In retrospect, this did not come to pass. For the last 30 years, my family and I have searched for him to reconnect, only to be turned away and shut out. Waterbury police say the victim lit his house on fire to escape years of alleged abuse by his stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan, who is charged with assault and kidnapping. As police now move their investigation forward, law enforcement experts say their greatest hurdle is having to look back.
Literally backtrack over 20, 25 years to determine where this originated, how this originated, who might have known.
Waterbury police say they did visit the home in 2005 after complaints were made to the Department of Family and Children, but found nothing concerning. DCF doesn't have any information about those complaints because they toss out unsubstantiated case files after 5 years.
The big question that comes to mind is someone had to know something.
Retired State Police Lieutenant Paul Vance says identifying anyone who knew him even more than 20 years ago could be of significant help to police.
Leave no stone unturned is what's important in this case, to try and piece that timeline together and see if there are any other individuals that may have known, may have participated, that would be culpable.
Now, the message Vance hopes to get across to the public is that if you knew or ever knew this man or his family, please reach out to police. As for Kimberly Sullivan, she's due back in court next week. Her lawyers told us on Friday that she is expected to plead not guilty to those charges that she faces. Your reporter live in Waterbury, Owen Kingsley, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Owen,
So she said 32 years ago, she gave up her son, gave the son to the ex. But then for the last 30 years, she was trying to connect back with the son, but was being turned away. Now, inside that house of horrors, for a long time, the father was living in that house, right? His name was Kregg Sullivan, but he died in January of 2024. But we know about this crazy case because what we've learned is he was there, the stepson was there for about trapped since he was 11. So it was over 20 years. He's 32 now, so we're almost like 21 years. DCF authorities went to the home to check on the child when he was a teenager back in 2005. Kimberly Sullivan and probably Craig convinced authorities nothing to see here, everything's fine. Authorities never went back, and literally no one ever saw from that child again. Child was trapped inside that home through his late teenage years, all through the 20s. We played a clip from a neighbor that didn't even know a man lived in that house. The man was trapped in a room, would come out 1 hour a day, supervised by her, maybe even the siblings, maybe even the husband at the time when he was alive, then put back in the room, locked. He was hardly fed, 5'9", 68 pounds, drinking from toilet water. He was on the verge of dying. No one knew this man existed. No one knew this teenage boy. The mother, the biological mother, puts out a statement saying that she was trying to find the child but was turned away. Do you believe the bio mom? We are covering this case extensively. She goes to court March 23rd. We will share the outcome, or March 26th, I'm sorry. We will share the outcome of that case on JLR Investigates and follow up on everything to deal with this terrible tragedy. This is one of the worst cases I've ever covered in the history of covering true crime, and we've been covering true crime for a very long time. Monster Mom, Monster Stepmom, House of Horrors. That house is creepy, folks. And I'm so glad that victim, which we will not name, we'll call him Victim S, as in Sam. We won't name him until law enforcement does, if at all. I don't think they should. Hopefully they don't. But, you know, the victim could also come forward and give interviews with media and whatnot and share his side of the story. But, what a brave individual. He was on the verge of dying from being starved. Like a Holocaust. Who does that? She's out on $300,000 bond. A lot of people think it should be higher. I thought should have been no bond, considering that she's facing life in prison without the possibility of parole. We'll see if the judge goes easy on her. Let's see if she accepts responsibility. Let's see if she goes to trial. She shouldn't go to trial. She would have to put that, because they would have to put that poor victim up on the stand. It would be horrible. That's re-victimizing the victim in my mind. So we'll see what happens with this case. Anything else breaks on JLR Investigates, you will hear it here. Next video I'll make, I'll share some pictures of inside the home, show what's going on, and we'll stay with this case for sure. Praying for the victim. Law enforcement, kudos to law enforcement. But there is some questions I have. You know, did DCF and law enforcement fail this man, child at the time, when they kind of just went away in 2005 when they went there and checked on the home, or she kind of manipulate them that everything was fine? We'll talk soon. JLR Investigates. Stay tuned.